Before the gods, before there were domains, there was only chaos. The void in which things could come to exist. The first primordial to fill this space was Gaia. But who was Gaia? Why did she fade from myth? And why might she be more important now than ever before? Welcome to the mysteries of mythology. Gaia. Before gods ruled the heavens, before kings claimed the land, there was only Gaia. She did not descend from a higher plane, nor was she shaped by divine hands. She simply came into being, rising from the great formless void of chaos. But she was not alone for long. From chaos came others. Tartarus, the abyss beneath the world. Eros, the first force of attraction. Not the playful Cupid of later myths, but the raw power that draws beings together. Unlike the gods who would follow, Gaia had no domain. She was the domain. The hills, the valleys, the mountains, all were her. But the world was silent. So Gaia reached deep within herself, and from her vastness came Ouranos, the sky. He stretched above her, an endless vault of stars. Hesiod does not tell us whether she birthed him or simply willed him into being, only that he appeared, stretching out above her. But he became her counterpart, her consort, her lover, her first great sorrow. With the heavens in place, Gaia's creation continued. From her arose Aurea, the mountains, standing like great ribs across the land. Then came Pontus, the boundless sea, a vast ancient force rising to meet the land, completing the world. The rivers became her veins, the forest her skin, the winds her breath. The world had taken form, but it was still empty. Together, Gaia and Ouranos filled the land with life. From their union came the Titans, vast and powerful, shapers of the world. Then the Cyclopses, one-eyed giants, masters of the forge. And finally, the Hecatoncheires, the 100-handed ones, towering beings of immeasurable strength. It should have been the Golden Age, a time of creation and harmony. But in Greek mythology, creation never comes without a cost. Gaia had given the world everything: land to walk upon, rivers to drink from, a sky to stretch above it all. But creation is not the same as control, and Gaia's creation would soon turn against her. Ouranos, the sky, was meant to be her equal, her partner in shaping the world. But where Gaia brought forth life, Ouranos sought to contain it. He looked upon their children, the mighty Titans, the Cyclopses, the Hecatoncheires, and saw not a new age, but a threat. Too wild, too powerful, too dangerous to be free. So he forced them back into Gaia's depths, burying them in the cavernous prison of Tartarus. It was no gentle confinement. Gaia, the earth itself, became their cage. She felt their pounding fists, heard their roars echo beneath the mountains, endured their rage striking her very skin. She was the mother of the world, but the world had been turned against her. She would not suffer it. From deep within, she forged the blade, a jagged sickle of unbreakable adamant, and she placed it in the hands of her Titan son, Kronos. "Strike," she whispered, "and free us from the sky's dominion." And Kronos obeyed. One night, as Ouranos descended to blanket the earth, Kronos leapt from the shadows. With a single merciless swing, he severed the heavens from the earth. His father's blood spilled across the land, and from it new beings were born. The Furies, spirits of vengeance, the giants, warriors destined to defy the gods, and from the foam of the sea, the goddess of love, beauty, and pleasure, Aphrodite. Gaia was free, or so she thought. The struggle between earth and sky had not ended, it had only begun. Kronos had learned his father's lesson too well. He inherited his father's throne and his father's fear. The prophecy, once whispered by Ouranos, now echoed in Kronos' ears. One day, a child of his own would rise against him. And so, like his father before him, Kronos chose fear over love. And the war between gods and earth was far from over. Gaia had lost control, but she had not lost her power. She had no throne, no armies, no weapons forged in the divine fire. But she had something greater. She could see the future. She had whispered to Kronos that he would overthrow his father, and now she whispered again, a warning that his own child would do the same. But fear makes fools of rulers. Kronos refused to listen, or rather, he listened the only way tyrants know how. Instead of changing his fate, he tried to devour it. One by one, he swallowed his newborn children, believing that if they never walked the earth, they could never rise against him. He thought himself safe, but Gaia had seen this before. She had watched as Ouranos tried to bury his offspring, and now she saw Kronos, time itself, do the same. If Kronos would not listen, perhaps another would. She turned to Rhea, Kronos' grieving wife, and gave her a plan, a deception, a chance. When her sixth child was born, Rhea followed Gaia's advice. She hid the infant away and placed the stone in his place. Kronos swallowed the rock, believing he had escaped the prophecy, never knowing that with each day that passed, Zeus was growing stronger. In the caves of Crete, Zeus grew in secret, nourished by the milk of the goat of Amalthea and guarded by the Curetes, warriors who drowned his cries with the clash of their weapons. When Zeus came of age, he returned as a man, a god grown in secret, and waged war against his father. With the help of Metis, the goddess of wisdom, Zeus gave Kronos an elixir, one that forced him to vomit up his devoured children. Poseidon, Hades, Demeter, Hera, Hestia, the gods were reborn, and the war for the cosmos began. But Gaia knew that strength alone would not be enough. She told Zeus of those who had been forgotten, still imprisoned in Tartarus, the Cyclopses, the Hecatoncheires, her first children still waiting in the darkness. So Zeus descended into the abyss, breaking the chains. In gratitude, they gave him a gift, the thunderbolt, the weapon that would shake the heavens. To Poseidon, they gave a trident, one that could stir the sea into chaos. And to Hades, they gave the helm of darkness, allowing him to walk unseen. With these new weapons, the gods rose in revolt. The war that followed, the Titanomachy, shook the very bones of the world. Gaia had guided Zeus to his throne, and once he had taken it, he had no more need of her. She had seen this before. She should have known. And yet, she fought against it anyway. Gaia had lost count of how many times her children had turned against her. Ouranos had chained them beneath her skin. Kronos had swallowed them whole. Zeus had overthrown the old gods, crowned himself king of Olympus, and cast the Titans into Tartarus. And with every rebellion, she had waited. She had whispered her warnings. She had played her part in the cycle. She had watched her sons rise, fall, and repeat the same mistakes. But this time, she did not whisper. This time, she did not warn. This time, she fought. She had helped Zeus once, but not so that another tyrant could rule from above. And she had not suffered just to see Olympus built on the backs of her broken children. If the gods would not free her imprisoned sons, she would raise new ones. From the depths of the earth, Gaia summoned her giants. To the Olympians, they were monstrous, serpentine legs, eyes burning with fury. But to Gaia, they weren't mindless beasts. They were avengers, born with a sacred purpose, born to bring down the gods who had stolen her world. Each giant was as strong as a god, towering over mortals, made of earth and fury. They rose to shake the foundations of Olympus. But Gaia had seen enough prophecies to know strength alone would not be enough. There was a condition, an ancient warning spoken long before the battle began. The giants could not be killed by gods alone. To defeat them, a mortal would have to strike the final blow. So the gods did what they always did. They changed the rules. Zeus summoned his demigod son, Heracles, a warrior who carried the power of both god and man. And one by one, with Heracles fighting at the god's side, Gaia's children fell. Some were crushed beneath mountains, some were hurled into the sea, some pierced by arrows that burned with divine fire. The war was long, brutal, merciless, and when the dust cleared, Olympus stood victorious. Gaia had lost. Again. But she was not finished. If the gods feared giants, they would know true terror when they saw what she would create next. Deep in the blackness beneath the world, Gaia lay with Tartarus, the great abyss itself. And from their union, she bore something far greater than any titan or giant before him. He was Typhon, father of monsters, bringer of storms, a force of pure destruction. He rose from the depths, his head scraping the stars. 100 serpents writhing from his shoulders, each one hissing flame. His arms stretched wider than the earth itself, and his voice, a terrible howling voice, shook the heavens. And for the first time, Zeus faltered. Typhon tore across the world, his fire turning the sky black, his rage so great that even the Olympians fled in fear. Apollo became a raven, Ares a boar, Dionysus a goat. They shed their divine forms and ran. Only Zeus remained. Sky met storm, lightning met fire, but Typhon was too strong. He ripped the tendons from Zeus's body, tore the strength from his limbs, left the king of the gods broken and helpless. Olympus was silent. The gods had vanished. And for a moment, it seemed as though Gaia had finally won. But Gaia should have known better. Zeus returned, not as a ruler, not as a god of his throne, but as a warrior with nothing left to lose. He carried the one weapon Olympus had left, lightning. Bolt after bolt struck Typhon, burning his flesh, forcing him back, until at last the gods buried him beneath Mount Etna, and his rage still boils beneath the earth. Every tremor, every eruption, a reminder of the war that nearly ended the sky. It was over. Gaia had spent her strength. Her giants were dead, her last son was buried. There would be no more wars, no more rebellions. The gods had won. And so, Gaia did what she had always done. She endured. She let the gods build their palaces on her skin. She let them carve their names into her mountains. She let them believe they had conquered her. She no longer whispered. She no longer raised her children to fight. But she was still there, she would always be there. Because the gods might rule from the sky, but they still walked upon her earth. Because if there was one thing Gaia had learned, it was this: nothing stays on the throne forever.